Hello, I would like to show you how to launch a lesson in the Reveal textbook. This goes right along with the consumable textbook. It also goes along with the teacher textbook, but this is the online version, so you can send it out to the students and it will take some of the workload off of you. So if you go into NC Ed Cloud, and these are your options, I've chosen or created some demo courses, so I'm going to choose one of those. And this is your dashboard page, and you have several things on the dashboard. You have the different versions of the book here, different copies of teacher version. But for today's video, we're just going to look at launching a lesson. So you're going to click on the drop-down menu for Browse Your Course. And notice here are all your different modules, 1 through 11 for this book. And let's say that based on our pacing, we are now in Module 3. So instead of choosing Module 3, you want to choose the drop down beside of Module 3 and which lesson we're doing. So let's say we're on Lesson 1 in Module 3. So that's Module 3, Lesson 1. I'm going to choose that module. And here we have all of our different resources for this lesson, solving equations with variables on each side. I like to go straight down through the list and open up one bar at a time. So first we're going to start with the launch. This is like the introduction to the students. So you have 4 choices for this lesson: the warm-up, launch the lesson, today's standards, and the vocabulary. If it's slid to the right, you notice it's been added to the presentation. So whatever's been slid to the right is what the students are going to actually see whenever they log in to this lesson. And if you're not sure if you want them to see it or not, choose the lesson or choose the piece of the puzzle here and look at it and see if you like it or not. You might want to use this as a warm-up or a bell ringer when they walk in the class, and it's already created for you. So I'm going to say that I don't need that one for today. I'm just going to go through and create a lesson. So I'm not going to include that one. If I want to see what this launch the lesson is, I click on it. I can see what it would look like. Realizing that sometimes you have 2 separate pages here for launching your lesson. So it shows an example, talks about it's usually a real world example. And then if you go to page 2, it's got a talk about it, some teacher notes. It's just launching the lesson for the students. So I do like that. I'm going to click it. I'm not going to assign it. If I assign it, it's something where the students have to go in and it has to be checked off that they've completed it. If you want to assign it and make that part of their lesson expectations for the day, then by all means, choose assign. Here are the standards. So again, if you click on the box, you'll see exactly what the standards are. It tells your goal, what you're covering, and what the standard is. Again, notice that there are 2 pages for this one. So if you click to the next one, it says, how can I use these practices? And it goes through some basic mathematical practices for you. If you want the students to see that, leave it. If you do not, and you just want to use it to help guide you with your learning target for the day, then you can remove it. So I'm removing it, and I'm just going to use it for my learning target on the board. Vocabulary, click on the vocabulary, and it goes through whatever vocabulary you have for the lesson. Today it looks like there's only 1, and it is coefficient. If you click on teaching notes, it might give you some little sidebar conversations that you might want to have with your students when going over the vocabulary. So I want to leave the vocabulary. So far, I'm not including the warm-up. I do want to include the launch. I'm using the standard to help me with my learning target, and I am going to include the vocabulary. So now I want to go to Explore and Develop. This is like the teacher-directed portion. The examples, the exploring what it's like. Notice all of these are open and added to the presentation. So you're going to want to click inside of these boxes and see, do I want to really use these? Now, there's a difference between your explore and your learn, and once you get into it a little more, you're going to see which one you like better. Maybe you like both of them to include. Let's say I don't want to include this one, so I'm going to turn it off. I like this example 1. I don't need another example 1, so I'm going to turn it off. Here's an example 2. I don't need the extra example. Let's say these 2 examples, I prefer this example, so I'm going to turn this one off. So again, I'm choosing exactly what the students are going to see. Keep scrolling, reflect and practice. So these are different options to offer them in the actual, this is like your guided practice into your independent practice type of the lesson. And you can choose if you want to include an exit ticket or not. And this is for your view only. If you notice, it says teacher only. So this is something where if you add to the presentation, you would have to show it on the screen. It's not just going to pop up for the students. And then here you have different practices. Here is one practice, and it's in, I believe it's just virtual. They can do it, click through their computer. This is an actual Word document. So you can click on it again and look and see what it looks like. So when I choose it, I go in and it says that there are 14 questions, gives them some instructions, and then you start the assignment. I'm clicking start the assignment so I can see what these questions are like. And you can click through and look at the different questions, 14 of them. Okay, so I finished with the looking over it. I like it, so I'm going to assign it. So once you click on assign, it gives you options of what do you want to title it. Usually I like to do something like lesson 3-1, just make it simple. I can say what day I want it to start, when it's available, when is it due. So let's say if I give it to them on Friday, we want to go over it on Monday or Tuesday. Here, allow late submission. This means, are you going to allow them to submit it after the due date? So usually I like to say yes, just so I don't have to open it back up. I'm going to allow them some time after the due date. I may or may not deduct some points. If you've got the gradebook set up, you can have the gradebook just as an assignment. I usually just do assignments here, then I adjust it when I put it into Canvas. How many times do you want them to attempt it? I usually just leave it at 1. If you're going to copy it to a class, this means if you have 2 class periods that are both 8th grade math, then if you click the drop down here, it would apply to both classes, whichever ones you choose. Here, the student score sheet. Do you want them to view their score after they completed the assessment, after the assessment has closed for everyone? They can view it on a specific date, or they can review their scores, but they can't see their answers. That's the one I usually like to pick. I like for them to see their score, but maybe not the answer. Now, if this is something just guided practice and you want them to see the answers, then they may view after it's over, or no access at all to not see it. Here are your learning aids that you can offer them as they're working through it. And these are pretty helpful, I will say. It gives them hints, explanations, additional things if they want to check their answer up to 3 tries. This is definitely great for your guided practice. So then once I click assign, it's going to assign it to that class. That will then show up for the students in their assignments on that particular day. So I've went through that. I've given them the assignment. Anything else that I want to put on here? Here's all kinds of extra assignments. If you have a student struggling, if you need to go back and they need to do some extra practice. Here, if you want to assign a tutor to the lesson, that's just some extra tutoring options that the students can watch some extra videos on the lesson. This is your solutions. You would, I would think, not add this to your presentation because it's just something that you can see. Here is your Spanish tutor, if you want to add a tutor in Spanish, and you can assign that to just particular students in the class who need it. And then this is a spiral review. It's kind of neat if you had some extra time and you wanted to include a spiral review. Just keep in mind that this is including everything up to Module 3, Lesson 1. So it's going to include anything from Module 1 or 2. So just keep that in mind. So I left all those off. I didn't want them. Here's additional resources. If you need them, you can look through these and see if any of these would be of help to you. A recording sheet. Here are your answers. That's just a PDF for you. Here's ways to differentiate. A collaboration strategy. It shows you a way to collaborate within the lesson. Here's a little review on 2-step equations. More than you'd ever need as far as an extension, if you just wanted to assign that to your AIG students. Taking another look, if you needed to review some more. I did not choose any of those. Here, sometimes there's teacher added resources. I did not choose that. And so that is the lesson what I chose. So if I click on Preview Student Page, when the students log in, this is all they're going to see now. It's what you clicked on. So they're going to go through and they're going to start the launch. And it's going to go through kind of like a slideshow, and it's going to go through all these. And then they're going to get the Explore and the Learn, the examples. These examples should not show up. I'm not sure why the extra examples are showing up, because they should not have shown up. But you can tell the students, click on that lesson, close preview. I do want to go back and look at this. So I'm pretty sure when they go in that they're not going to see these extra examples. At any rate, when the students go in, now you're going to explain to them from their dashboard that's going to look very similar to yours. You'll tell them to click here and then click here and then choose lesson 1, and that's going to take them directly to the specific lesson and the boxes that you checked off that you want them to see. This seems like a long process. I do realize that. However, once you get into it and get started, it's going to go a lot quicker once you realize what the different topics are offering. And I think that it'll be very useful for you to set up a lesson, especially for students who need that visual, need the little videos to go with it. It's a lot of help, and it solves the problem of you having to search for examples and sample problems because they're all right here at your hand. I hope this helps. Thanks.